Welcome back, everybody, to another Party Pace podcast. Today, we've got a great one. We're going to be talking with Luke from one of my favorite companies, Mary Sales slash SOMA. They're kind of like the repository of all the interesting niche bike parts out there on the market. And Luke recently started a YouTube channel for SOMA, so we're going to get into the what, the why. But first, we got to talk square taper bottom bracket tools because they came out with it. They found a new one in 2025. So all that said, let's say hi to Luke. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing, Russ? Good to see you today.
Nice. So we met very briefly when I did the shop visit tour with Jim like ages ago.
Yeah, like
Um,
I was pretending to fill out paperwork behind you. Like I was starting here the next week, and I was like, I kind of hope I'm in the background of this video. And
yeah,
so it was
you
cool.
got to look busy.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your role at Mary Sales SOMA Fabrications?
Well, on paper, it's warehouse manager, but we're like 7 people here. So I also deal with some marketing stuff, product testing, product creation, interfacing with manufacturers, vendors, uh, customers, bike shops, troubleshooting, technical stuff. It's kind of a lot. It's so warehouse manager is what I usually just say because it's just too
Yeah.
complicated for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about YouTube a little bit.
Yeah.
What was the impetus for you to start, making videos for Mary Sales?
I was talking to Jim and I said, there are some things I kind of pay attention to what other companies do and how they people want to know who we are and people want to know who they're buying from. And so I was like, oh, like let's start like a weekly newsletter, or I'd be happy to do some still photography on Instagram. I have a really strong writing background. I'm a law school graduate. And so I was like, oh, that's perfect. He's like, hey, do you want to do something you have no experience with? And I was like, no. He's like, great, you're doing YouTube now. And so that's how that started. And
Yeah.
so he just kind of threw me into it. And Stanley, our kind of like frame designer and product designer, he had been doing a YouTube sporadically over the years. And they're like, we're going to dedicate you to doing this. And so it
Mhm.
just, I wanted to start a blog. He told me to start really doing the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. I've been super stoked on it. When I started to see that you guys were doing it regularly, I was like, this is so awesome. I think one of the unique things, especially in some of the early videos I saw, was you guys have like relationships with these companies that go way back, and you have access to footage and all that stuff. So really showing the process and the behind the scenes of the brands that you work with.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, Jim likes talking about it, but we've been around since 1906, and Mary Sales parent company has, and I mean, we were dealing with vendors and manufacturers in Asia since then. And so we just have this storied history going back so long that we have access to a lot of really cool stuff. And let me tell you, I find some really weird stuff back in the corners of the warehouse. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, if there's a weird bike part that you've ever wondered about, it's probably passed through the hands of Mary Sales at some point.
Yeah, I mean, like Jim says, if it's niche and there's not a lot of money in it, we'd like to make it happen. It's just like that's kind of how it is here.
um, cool. Well, let's talk about one of your latest drops, which I think
Yeah.
it also sparked a lot of discussion on your YouTube channel, and it's this tool dedicated for square tapers in 2025. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is the only working here. I'll do the hand thing. I don't know if that makes any difference, but this is the
Yeah.
only working prototype we have. And when I say working, I say that kind of loosely. The cups are a little bit too big. I kind of might have been hammering it into the bonnet bracket shell on that frame in the video
Yeah.
off camera, but it's really cool. It was kind of neat because it came out right when Paul announced their
Mm,
new square taper crank
100%.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's so cool!" That like perfect timing. I was like in the Radivis comments being like, "Just wait for this video that I'm about to drop."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think it's really cool. Like a lot of my friends and I we run square taper, and it's not because we're trying to be anachronistic and it's be the cool guy. It's just it's very nice and simple.
Mhm.
And a lot of the crank sets that I really like are square taper. And it's just it's super cool. I just got the next stage of prototyping sent over, and so we're going to be changing some of the materials, but it's heading in a really good direction. And all the interest that people have been showing, Jim's really excited.
So for those who might not understand like why it's important, like what does a tool do, and how does it help the home mechanic or the shop mechanic?
So with score taper, I mean, a lot of the folks I know who run score taper, they run vintage cranks, and the literature isn't all that conclusive about getting the best chain line or having the right spindle length.
Mm.
Not always, that is. And a lot of people don't want to do the digging. I'm one of them. I'm kind of want a more ready-made solution. I don't want to buy three cranksets or or three bottom brackets and have them sitting in my shop. I don't have a deep bench at home. But what's nice about this is you just buy this and then you insert this on one side, and then you
Mhm.
can adjust the spindle length
Okay.
here
Yeah.
as you want and adjust the chain line and figure out what's best, whether you're running an old crankset as a 1 by, you're running a 2 by, you're running a 3 by, and you can figure out the spindle length, measure it, and then just buy the
Buy the right
appropriate bottom
one.
bracket.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
like plenty of I've heard from a lot of co-op owners and bike shop managers where they're like, yeah, we have like a million bottom brackets. We also don't want to be pulling them all out, wiping them down, getting the grease off of them, and pulling them back out and doing that again and again and again. And
Yeah.
so I think it's cool. Both home mechanic and bike shops, I think, would really benefit from it.
Yeah, because I feel like when I used to dig around the different bike co-ops, you could find a cool crank, but maybe all the marking has been rubbed off. So even if you wanted to go through the research and try to figure out like what the best spindle length is for that crank, you can't, unless you
No,
can
no,
just tell from like the forging somehow.
no. And there's a lot of I don't know if you've been online recently. There's a lot of arguing online about what's right and what's
Arguing
wrong.
online.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of that before. And so there's a lot of very strong opinions online. I'm not saying correct, very strong though. And so for me, I like to kind of cut through the chatter is kind of tough. Like half the problem is finding someone who's not wrong online.
Right.
And so I like the idea of this because it's like I don't have to rely on what, John in Wichita is saying on a Reddit, subreddit. I can just go and pull this out
Hmm.
and know definitively, which I really like. I like being pretty exacting with what I do on my bike. I don't really want to hear a clunking noise 10 miles into my next ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. So that seems like it's a fairly niche product in 2025. Is that something that you guys came up with in-house, or was that something someone presented to you guys? Or how do you guys in general like source out these interesting products?
So this was a gym. This is a gym
This is
idea.
Jim.
So
Okay.
so his office is I like right where you saw me in your video, like I'm sitting
Right.
out in the open so they can keep an eye on me from three different offices. I'm still sitting there. And so Jim's like right over here. And he he came out, he's like, "Hey, Luke, all right, what do you think about this? Adjustable square taper bottom bracket measuring tool. How does that sound?" And I was like, it's like 9 in the morning. I'm like, I mean, that sounds cool. I'm like just answering emails. He's like,
Yeah.
great. And then a couple months later, he's like, I have something exciting for when you're done with the workday, Luke. And I was like, oh, okay. And at 5, he's like, here you go. What do you think? Like, it's like, he's like a kid in a candy shop. Like
Right.
he's been in the first bike he spec'd with his father is hanging in the warehouse, and it's from like 1982. He's
Hmm.
still so excited about coming up with new products. Like he'll
Yeah.
just anyway, every time he comes back from a bike show from Asia, I hear about it for months, and it's just because he loves doing that. So he came up with this, and it was
Hmm.
just mostly because he thought, Square Taper's not going anywhere. People are consistently coming back to it. He sees Renee Hurst selling SKF. He sees how sales are going with the Tonge made IRD bottom brackets. Like it's not going anywhere. So it's like maybe there should be a tool that we've never had before.
Right.
And
Right.
so this is in-house. And then he also has, we've been in Asia since 1906. So he has access to all of these creatives around the world who are constantly coming up with new ideas or whatever. And so they know, we like niche, not
Hmm.
necessarily monetarily, not going to be raking in the money on them. And they come to gym.
Right.
And so we'll, become the sole importer for certain products as a result. It's really cool seeing what comes through the doors.
Right, right. Yeah, it's great that he still has like that much enthusiasm for weird bike stuff after doing it for so long.
Oh, he's like, let me tell you, he probably spends every time a show's coming up, he spends all this time complaining that he's got to go, but he's got a big smile on his face. Like I know he's excited. Like he goes and he goes, "Oh, it was really tough being in China. Do you get all those cool photos I sent you though?" And yeah, he's just like, it's just so. I'm like, "Do you enjoy yourself?" But he does. His like, he's just brimming with like this deep enthusiasm, this many years into it, and so it's really inspiring working with someone like that.
Yeah. So what's been the response to your video on the square taper tool?
I had a lot of people tell me that they were suggesting how I should be a better bike mechanic and that I don't need it. That was the first subset of comments. Mechanical engineers were in the comments too. Thank you guys. I'm loud and proud. But there were a lot of people who were at either like home enthusiasts, folks who volunteered at co-ops,
Hmm.
um, or bike shop owners. And the ones that I liked seeing the most were the co-op volunteers because we have one here, like, we have the SF Bike Kitchen, and a lot of people go in there, you pay a low fee. They'll teach you how to build a bike
Right.
from the parts they have there, or you can bring stuff in. This is a great learning tool. This is
Hmm.
a great learning tool because I think it very much helps visualize mainline and why it's important, and it makes things about bikes less mysterious and hard to understand.
Hmm.
And I'm all for that. I don't want there to be any barrier to people learning more about bikes.
Hmm.
And I think that whenever there is, I don't know, that's why anytime people ask me anything about how to do something with bikes, I'm like, well, of course I want you to know. I want more
Yeah.
people on bikes, more people to feel welcome with bikes. And I feel like this is a tool that really embodies that. And so those comments were wonderful. I really liked hearing that. I loved
Hmm.
seeing what people said on bike packing and what people were saying on the Radavist. It just seemed like overall enthusiasm and excitement. And then, of course, Jim was like, he's like, I knew it was a good idea. I was like, I know, Jim, I know, I know. Don't get too big ahead about it, but it was a great idea. Yeah.
Nice. So we were talking a little bit before we started. You have like some other interesting doodads that you guys just came out with. What's another one?
Well, you were asking me about this. So we got the Uno in like a panda setup
Nice.
here, and so it's got a bit of silver, it's got a bit of black, and it's 100% cool. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I've these have continued to just people are really excited about these. People
Hmm.
are realizing um, again, all over again, how flexible friction can be as opposed to indexing. You don't have to deal with all the different pull ratios and
Right.
um, you can you shifted up to a 13 speed with this, right? Like
Yeah,
Ekar?
that'll do campy Ekar, no
Yeah.
problem. It'll, I think when that came out, like I don't know if Shimano 12 speed was out already, but it should theoretically do that. Like literally, like any derailleur that uses a cable that should work with. And if people don't know what the Panda reference is, like I think both Luke and I are kind of like watch dorks.
Yeah.
Uh, and there's like when a watch dial is silver black, it's called like a Panda dial, like the Omega Speedies.
Yeah, like Panda
Um,
dials or like
yeah.
different Rolexes, Universal Genève. Yeah, so
Yeah.
don't get me started on watches. That'll be a whole another hour. Yeah.
Different live stream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So show us that the rack thing that
Oh,
you have.
yeah. So the Tanaka lift lock, I'll just block my face here. Can you see that all right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is really cool. This was another thing where Jim raced out of his office. He's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "I think it's a great idea." And so it really has this tombstone back here, so you can adjust. You don't have to put a basket on here, but it's really attuned to using a basket. And there are kind of different standards with spacing. Like walled is considered pretty much a standard, but
Yeah.
Tanaka, we sell Tanaka baskets, and there are others that don't use the same, like Manivel
Hmm.
out of France. And like, if you don't want to have to worry about having a rack that is space specific, or like you don't want to use zip ties, you don't know which rack or basket you're going to get. This is great. So you can adjust the tombstone back here, and then it has a couple
Mm,
locks here and then blocks on the back side so you can adjust. So if you don't want to use zip ties or walleye straps,
yeah.
uh, I mean, I have like a million zip ties on mine right now. 'Cause I have a Nito rack, but like
Yeah.
this is cool for not if you don't want to
Yeah.
do that. And it's really secure too. Like I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to use a walleye strap too. Yeah, it doesn't budge.
Yeah.
It
So if you
doesn't
guys
budge at
if you
all.
guys don't know what's going on, it's like a mini portour with a tombstone, and it's got these adjustable lock things that are designed to clip onto a basket. Because as you guys know, otherwise you're zip tying or using some kind of strap system. And I've seen that like executed, but like on very like niche custom like rack builds. But it's cool to see that brought down to something that anyone else can just buy.
Yeah, for me, it's yeah, I've definitely seen variations on this with, small batch, custom, or like, custom like made to order racks. But not anything production wise. And
Yeah.
it's nice too. It offers a lot of flexibility, especially with mounting, because it has these four mounting points, and then you have
Hmm.
struts that you cut to length. So,
Yeah.
and then we've got these little rubber caps that come with it, so you can cap it once you cut it. So it's a bit of tinkering, but
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. And it's got like gosh, what was it? About a 30-pound rating, which means you could probably go higher, but we wouldn't. It's
at,
like
at your own risk.
at your own risk. Make sure you use a strap or something and
Yeah.
strap the tombstone. But yeah, it's about 30 pounds, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I anytime I have anything approaching 20 in my front, handling's horrible anyway, so it's really just overkill. Yeah, these are cool, black and silver, and they've been selling really well. It's kind of
Yep.
like Jim kind of wanted to have something that was um, kind of take the place of the Lucas rack, that which is coming back. It was just out of stock
Hmm.
right now, but yeah, it's been really cool seeing people's reactions and what they think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so there was a question. So speaking of Soma and Mary Sales stuff, I
Yeah.
don't know if people can see, but I just got in the double cross to review. Do you know what crankset is on this bike by any chance? Is it
Gosh,
is, is it the
is that the?
Lobo? It's like
Yeah, that's the
silver.
Lobo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Lobo. So that's the one we sell. We've got it sold as just crank arms and a bottom bracket, and then you can pick the chain rings that you want for it, as well as
Yeah.
the chain ring bolts. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice looking crank.
Yeah, it's really nice. It actually, I remember when those came in, we got a refresh on them, and I feel like between those and we have some more like TA style cranks that we sell too, that I'm like, they're really pretty. Machining's pretty good on them too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the back of the crank arm. It looks like it's fluted, but it's flat to the end. So it gives some wiggle room to go even shorter. Like these are 165s, but what's the shortest, like do you know what the shortest drilling that you guys have for those are?
Shortest we have is 160.
Okay.
What we currently have in stock is 165, 170, and up. Like it's either 172.5 or 175. Mostly because even with the whole sorter crank thing, which I think is sick, most people still buy like pretty much 165, 170, 175, which is kind of
Right.
crazy to me.
Interesting.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like I run a 175, but I'm also 6'6", and then I know people who are like 5'11" and they run a 175, and I'm like, okay, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Nice. Do you have anything else on the table, or do you want to talk about the catalog?
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a sec. We have I just got, Jim just got back from one of the many shows he goes to, and he had a whole like box full of, he's like, he just dumped it on my desk. He's like, let me know what you think, Luke. And so there are these like side loader cages
Ah,
that
okay, yeah.
Tanaka came out with, and a whole array of colors. I thought they were kind of cool. Like you have however you wanna
Yeah.
do it. I thought they were really cool. And then
So it
there
looks
were
like it
some.
looks like it combines two interesting things. One, it's a side loader, but also has like multiple hole mounts, so you can also like shimmy it up and down.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's like if you're going bike packing and you have a bunch of stuff, you don't really have to worry about like, do you have a half frame bag, a full frame bag? If you have a half frame bag, you can move it down, that kind of thing.
yeah.
He also, gosh, I feel like such a dolt. I don't have it with me, but there's a prototype from um, Tanaka that is about this long or so, and it allows you to mount two bottles at the top of it outboard. So if you have a
Okay. Yeah.
full frame bag, you can
Yeah.
have the bottles, which I've seen some variations on, and then
Yeah.
Tanaka ended up coming out with that, and we're currently testing that right now. I think
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm like, am I gonna hit my knees? Is that good? I don't know. Jim's like, no, no, it's good, it's good. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So we're testing that right now.
I also saw that I think it's Tanaka that they came out with the Bear Trap wheel bike stand.
Yeah,
That looks pretty wild.
so I love that. Like I remember seeing that when that came in. I had no idea it was coming in. And I saw it when it came in. I wish I had one right here, but yeah, I mean it has a long spring with some plastic bits and it kind of rests like this and then you put the tire in and it folds in on it. And
Hmm.
so if you don't have any load in the front, like for me having stuff in my basket all the time, like if I pull that out of the basket, it's fine. And it holds up to like a 3-inch tire.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I have like I've run 225s on the bike I commute on all the time. And
Yeah.
I rested in there and I'm like, this is nice. Like I have a smooth kitchen floor. I put my bike in the kitchen. I have a very nice wife. Thank you,
Yeah.
Leslie. Um, but it doesn't like slide around even on that, and it's really secure and
Okay.
it like clamps in really nice. So those have been selling really well too. Like, those are, I think, I don't know. I've gone through half a dozen bike stands because they all suck,
Yeah.
and this one doesn't suck. Like I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. There's someone in the comments here. Vicaro Supreme. I got the Bear Trap stand. Have one. Will buy more.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Yeah, no, I'm happy to hear that because they're, I think they're really well made. Like they're made in Japan. Not that that's like the berry, it's well made if it's in Japan, but like
Yeah.
made in Japan, small batch, super nice. Um, I don't know, and I, it's easy to assemble, but I made it difficult because I skipped the instructions. Of course, I was like, I don't. There's like 10 parts. Like, how can I mess this up? Well, I messed it up. So just read the instructions if you buy it, but it's not that hard.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so recently you guys came out with something else that's different. Not so much product wise, but tell me why now?
Why now? Okay, so
Well, what it
why?
is and what it is first, and then why now?
All right, so we came out with a print catalog, and it sounds kind of, I don't know. I remember telling someone we were coming out with this print catalog, and someone's like, print in 2025? Yeah, okay. That's just like having a square taper tool come out in 2025, right?
Right.
Um, but it's something that, I mean, I've been listening to all the heated meetings happening in this very room where like Jim and Mary are yelling on the phone on the conference call. I can hear it like out in the warehouse and getting all the printing squared away. And I went through this and I did, if there are any mistakes or anything that anyone sees, not my fault. But I went through and I edited all this. I went through the copy and I did my best with formatting stuff and
Yeah.
whatever in between, like all the shipping and like product testing and other stuff I do. And we came out with it because it doesn't have any prices in it. It's not about like I can look at this and I know what the price is. It's about getting information. It's about
Hmm.
thinking about bike builds. Like as much as I can have 30 tabs open on my phone and like flip around with all of them and like the different parts I'm thinking about with a build, for me, it's always been easiest if I can kind of see it in person. Like if I can go to shop and I can pick the parts out, or since I work here, I can go in the warehouse and kind of visualize. And with that in mind, Jim wanted to come out with a catalog.
Hmm.
And it's just, you can see what it is that you want. And like you were talking about us having a bunch of weird stuff,
Yeah.
and like niche, the nichey stuff and all that. This is the best way to look through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what, like, you know, the way I've been experiencing it so far is like, I'll look up specific things that I'm curious about. But
Yeah.
on the way to that page, something will grab your eye and stop you and be like, oh, I didn't know that existed. How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean that happens to me sometimes working here. We have about 5,000 SKUs. Dan in the office next door like saying, "I remember when we had over 10,000. I knew where all of them were." I'm like, "All right, that's great, Dan." But like we've got like 5,000 SKUs right now, and to put it nicely, our website's not the easiest to navigate.
Mhm.
Something that I'm also trying to work on, and you might even say it's downright frustrating at times, and or horrible. No, it's not horrible, but it's frustrating at times, and we're doing our best with how many products we have, but it's tough to kind of get
Right.
them all. And so here you can just go in and do a deep dive on
Yeah.
forks because we carry a lot of really weird forks that aren't available anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's cool, and also we have a bunch of stuff from Longshen and all of our like Tongig tubing in the back too. So it's nice for both, frame builders, whether you're, you know, CSIP or you're the guy in the garage
Mhm.
just kind of messing around with a torch. Like it just makes it easier for people to kind of see what it is we have.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun. It's like it's not like I was going through some old catalogs in Stanley's office from like,
Mhm.
1985, or like I found like the spring 1996 Sun Tour catalog. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, this is so cool. Like I am not going to use this to do anything other than to look at cool bike parts. But I got to see like a snapshot of what
Right.
the bike industry looked like then. Like this isn't
Right.
just a buy it and throw it away after you read it. It's kind of a cool snapshot in time, of like
Mhm.
what is going on now. And I think could be something you can reference for a while to come.
Yeah. We were just recently in Nelson in England and visited the Caradice factory.
Just ordered something from them actually after I
Did
watched your video. Whatever.
you?
Not
And
I'm
what
not bike influenced, don't worry. Yeah.
and one of my favorite things after we were done filming was they brought out all the old catalogs from like the 30s and the 40s,
Sick.
and just flipping through what was cool at the time. Like they actually had like a pretty deep catalog of like other hard goods that they don't sell now, and like random camping stuff. But yeah, it was all cataloged there. It's like, oh, this was kind of the hip and trending thing back in 1942.
That's so cool. Well, something that I watched that video, and isn't it something that they were saying that they have all the patterns of every bag they've ever made?
Hmm.
Yeah, so if they think like maybe there's a use in bringing something back from, say, 1942, they can just go and pick it out and just start making it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
they've got
see, I
like
think
the
that's
yeah, it's wild. Like that one shelf is some like they had to redo some of the templates in like a coroplast or plastic because it wouldn't last like the 7 years or something.
yeah.
But yeah, they've got every single like bag design and this just very kind of makeshift rack.
It looked as organized as some things here. I totally,
Yeah.
yeah. It's functional.
But it was just yeah, it was a super charming visit. I was like, oh, it's pretty much hasn't changed.
At all. Yeah. How long did you visit them? Was it just a day, or were you able to come back a couple times, or
It was like half a day, morning to lunch, and I
okay.
honestly could have spent like all day there just flipping through all the back catalogs. And just as we were leaving, like they brought out like a stack of photos, and then I'd already put the camera away, but they had the photo of like the guy that started Caradice. I was like, "Ah, that would have been good to capture." Um, did not look like a bike hipster. He was very like well dressed and in a suit. So
He's a businessman who saw an opportunity. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love places like that. Like I remember when I first toured here, and it was Jim gave me the tour that lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And like because you've been in the warehouse, it's not huge or anything, but just like all the history and everything that's happened here, and like so yeah, watching that video, I thought that was super cool that you were able to talk to those guys. How many
Yeah.
people work there?
Um, I want to say like maybe 20. It wasn't a huge number. Um, and it's interesting. Like I'd asked Sue, one of the employees there, like
Mm,
when is like the peak of your employment? And she said like this is actually one of the highest, the most people they've had there
ever.
in a while. It's like which is pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I know because they've always for me been like a big like when I think like oh big bag maker or like an inspiration for like
Yeah.
Swift and a lot of other people who've come out with bags that are the new and improved or equivalent to say one of their like Nelson long flaps or something
Yeah.
has like 20 people.
Yeah. It's wild.
It's like yeah, yeah. I always think the industry's so big, and then I'm like, oh, it's like 10 people at a company. Okay.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
sew, from what I understand, is they sew the bike portion of the business like seasonally, like when the
Hmm.
demand is high, but then they also make bags for other folks, and that's how they keep the whole ship afloat. Uh, but they used to like when you get a bag, it would be signed by the person that I think finished the bag. Um, so it was fun to see in the comments, like, oh, that's the Sue that's in my Caredice bag.
I saw that someone's like, oh, I remember getting a bag and had a note said sewn by Sue. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. So here's a question that maybe you can
Yeah.
answer. Mass Produce asks, Mary Sales and Soma, same company? Question mark. What is that relationship?
Yeah. So we yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I work for Mary Sales, like, but I do Mary Sales is very much the distributor side of
Yeah.
things, like more bike shop, that thing. So Mary Sales was founded in 1906 by Mr. Edwin Mary. It was purchased from the Mary family in 35, 36 from by the Porter family. So the Porters have been
Mm-hmm.
running things for 90 years.
Uh,
Um, and so not too long. And then like, gosh, we were working with Joe Breeze and with QBP to make breezers in Asia in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then we ended up ceasing, making those bikes for them. And Q started Surly and we started Soma.
okay.
And so then we were like, well, we've been making frames in Asia. We know how to do this. Let's have our own frame.
Yeah.
And so we started the Soma brand. And so the Soma brand is, um, we fulfill everything here, all of that, and it's more consumer facing. But we do have like distributors and dealers who sell it on our behalf.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
it's I try to keep them separate, but we're also the same.
So it's kind of like you're saying, so it'd be like Surly is to QBP, Soma is to Mary Sales. Kind of like the end.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's like the Soma brand is kind of what we want people who are consumers to like that's the brand that we're trying to have people get to know. And Mary really works in and has been I consider that like even though they are the same company, like we distribute.
Right.
We distribute things and have been doing so forever.
Right. Um, cool. All right. We've got 85 people in the chat. If you guys have any questions, addressed to Luke about Soma, Mary Sales, square taper,
Square
bottom
Tatum.
bracket.
Square Tatum. Okay, okay. Yeah,
Square taper bottom bracket tools.
Yeah, happy to
Uh,
answer any questions people have. That's what I like doing. That's what I'm doing. I usually do all day in between being in the warehouse and all the other things I do.
yeah. Um, so I don't know if how deep you want to get into this topic. We mentioned we might dip our toes into it,
Yeah.
but how the tariff thing. So it was like really high, and now it's just kind of high. Like how does that affect you guys?
It's affected a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's our one of the trading companies we work with is right next door to us, which is that's been really convenient for us. But I see Jim like running back and forth with one of the trading companies we work with, and then he's always on the phone with one of the Japanese trading companies we work with, as well as European trading companies, because we're trying to figure out we get quite a lot of our stuff from Asia. Like, all of our frames are made in Taiwan. We get a lot of stuff made in Japan. There's some stuff that is made in China. Like S-Ride is a bunch of former S company employees in China that's made there. And so it's like, all right, we have all of these containers that we were going to have shipped out and all of these new products we were working on and getting a new shipment of this rack or getting a new small part, we kind of had to put everything on halt. And
Yeah.
we get all of our I mean, even all of our cable housing is from Japan.
Hmm.
It's made there. Yokozuna is made there, and the issue is that there are new duties on foreign steels. So any
Mm-hmm.
aluminum or, metal, we had to figure out the weight per container or per package, small package of cable housing
Oh,
for the
geez.
steel, and then argue that it was a predominantly plastic product and not metal to change the duties associated with it. So the tariffs and the duties, man, it really, Jim was like, well, I guess we're not getting cable housing in for a while. I
Right.
guess we're not getting in needle products for a while. So
Right.
it wasn't just purely Chinese related, it was kind of across the board. Our industry is based in Asia, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're less scared now, but Jim last year, Jim probably in July was like, he said, I just want to let you know that I feel like things are leaning towards a change in administration and high tariffs.
Hmm.
He's seen this plenty of times before, and so anyway, he was telling all of our partners in Asia that to be prepared for something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah. Um, well, with the slight reprieve, have you had stuff shipped in the window, or is
So
everything?
fast.
Yeah.
So fast. Yeah, yeah. Like last week, I got an email and I was like, oh, all the prototypes that we've been holding off on, they're all on the water right now. Like
Yeah.
expedited, like we're
Yeah.
paying double in shipping, so we don't have to pay triple in the actual cost for these products.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah, I was like, oh, all the prototypes I've been talking about for the last 9 months are actually being able to be shipped. And so we're getting, I want to say like 2 or 3 containers, either anything from a couple pallets broken out of a larger container to like a 20-footer from Asia, probably in the next like 1 to 4 weeks, just to be,
Yeah.
just to get ahead of whatever might be coming down the pike. Because I honestly think it's going to continue to be very volatile. I don't really think that, I don't trust it's going to stay the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we got some questions here for you. So Laura Zombie asks, "How can I get the catalog?" Where?
Great question. So we have this catalog on our site. So if you wanna
Which site?
order it.
Soma
Oh, so
Fab.
Soma, yeah. So on Soma Fab, we have this catalog, and we're selling them for $10 a piece. We were just running something over the weekend where if you ordered anything from us, you'd get a free catalog included.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we're selling them for about $10 a piece on the Soma site, and so if you want them, they're there. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Okay, another question here. Vicaro Supreme asks, "Will Soma ever get the IRD subcompact C front derailleur back in stock?" Front
Yeah,
derailleurs are hard,
I know
right?
they're really hard. They're really hard. We're working with someone right now. I was actually just gonna give like a kind of like a workaround answer, but I actually have a real answer. We're working with someone right now on a prototype front derailleur that they are going to be bringing out that is going to be made in lieu of that. I would say I saw a rough finished prototype probably about 8 weeks ago,
Yeah.
which means if 8 weeks ago, let's say it were ordered today, next 3 to 4 months,
Yeah.
like next 3 to 4 months, there will be not the sub C, but something like it.
So it's good for
Like
for smaller chain rings. Like, what's the do you know what the largest chain ring it would be optimized for?
uh
Like 46 or smaller?
it'd probably be, let me think. No, I think it was last I checked, we were 46. So yeah, right around 46 would be the largest chain ring.
Hmm.
And that'll be out. I can't say. And it's not even, it's like tariffs have pushed everything. It's again, tariffs have pushed everything back. So we had our
Yeah.
last prototype about 8 weeks ago, and I know that it's in testing right now with some people.
Yeah. Okay, you got a question here from Kim Bjork. Bjork. Can Luke sign a catalog and have it shipped to Sweden?
Yes. Oh, Bjork, hey man, what's up? Yeah, it's a buddy of mine. We send like photos back and forth of our Rivendels to each other, and
Nice.
yeah, Hey man, it's good to see you here. Yeah, I can absolutely. I will ship it to you. You have to pay shipping though. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've been trying to send him stuff in Sweden, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel his pain, like living in
Yeah,
Spain now.
I know. I mean, I sending anything to Europe, you'd think that it's on the moon. I don't really understand what's going on. No, I really like. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Someone asked, what is New Albion, the brand? Like how does that fit within the Soma Mary Sales grid?
So New Albion for me is very much like there were the Poke like track bikes that we used to sell, and very much um not high end, but definitely more affordable. And New Albion, like they use all the Soma frames use like prestige Tongay tubing, and those use like the champion tubing, which like is on my wife's bike from the 80s. That was
Hmm.
kind of like a mid-range mountain bike. So it's plenty fine. It's just it's not the prestige tubing, the finest tubing.
Right.
Um, I happen to like the new Albion Drake better than almost any frame that we make because of
Hmm.
its flexibility, and the colors are awesome. Stan was working with someone to like decide on the colors there, and I think they look so good. But yeah, so it's like if you look at what it is that we carry, it's like New Albion is kind of here, and then Soma is right here, and then you'd have like say Rivendell or Custom up here. That's kind of where I
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah. So someone asks, are there any new bike models in the works? I'm loving my Pescadero, by the way. Are there any
Glad you
new
like the
ones that you could talk?
Pescadero.
Any that you could talk
Uh,
about?
well, probably not.
Yeah.
But well, all right. Let me think. Let me think about that for a second. There is all right. I'll just say that there is a sample coming right now that I've been waiting on for months that I have been personally excited about testing. Um, that I should be able to show in the next 3 weeks. I think it's really
Hmm.
exciting, and it's not something we've carried in a long time. Actually, it's I think a model we've never carried in any variation before.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to mention this because I get a lot of flack for it. We do have a Soma Tradesman prototype sitting in the office that we've had for a while. So that's
Hmm.
like the kind of like more mini cargo that we came out with. And after you highlighted that black snow cargo,
Yeah.
and we were listed as the distributor for Black Snow, which is true. So many people are like, where the F is that bike? Like, why don't you carry it? It's so sick. I want it.
Yeah.
Thanks. So we do have a first production sample of that for us to
Yeah.
to play around with that's coming. And then now that the tariff thing is kind of loosened up a little bit, we may be carrying the tradesman soon enough. It just is a matter of, again, kind of timing the tariffs thing properly, and we may need to move
Yeah.
from the factory we were in to another one. But that's still up in the air a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like the mini cargo bike is going to have its moment soon if it's not having it now. Like just
Oh,
mini
it's
bells in
happening.
general. Yeah.
It's happening. Yeah, it's like what was it? There was a mini Velo show in
In
Germany.
Berlin. Yeah, in
Yeah,
Berlin.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I
Yeah.
saw all the footage from that, and I'm like, man, these people are they're weird. They love bikes. Like
Yeah.
they're just so cool. And like I think the mini cargo thing makes so much sense. Like I live in a third floor walk up, and as much fun as I have lifting my 6.5 foot bike up my 4 flights of stairs into my apartment and then dinging the doorway every time, it'd be kind of nice to have something that's a small wheeled lighter bike that can also have a bunch of cargo on it. And
Yeah.
so it's like that's why I think this is the season of the cargo bike. Like what Black Snow's doing, that is so cool. Like
Hmm.
I loved that. Like it's pretty, it's useful, it's smaller.
Yeah, it's like if Riv made a mini cargo bike, it would have a similar sweepiness to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Like I was talking to one of the guys over here, James, and I was like, yeah, it's like the Gus, but a cargo bike.
Yeah.
And because he was actually asking me about it, he's like, so when are you guys gonna carry that? That's so odd. Like he's been hammering on me for a tradesman for like the whole time I've worked here. And then he saw that video and he's like, all right, so you're gonna carry that? So and it's cool because you can opt in or opt out. Like it's a flexible bike. You can take the
Hmm.
platform off the front. And Chris over at Black Snow sent some photos of him jumping up and down on the front rack. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this isn't just like a nice ornamentation. It's a very burly, heavy duty. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you liked it, right? You liked it.
Oh yeah, like the black snow is probably one of my most ridden bikes. Just because I use it, every time I
Yeah.
go into town, get groceries, run errands, do shoots. I'll just put my photo backpack in there and just it fits in the elevator. It's awesome. Um, I've got like a Omnia Mini Max with like multiple locks on it in our
Yeah.
garage. But I think the black snow gets more daily use unless I'm picking up like a bike or something.
Yeah. What's the max load on the front of that then?
On which the mini.
The Black Snow.
I want to say I read somewhere 30 kilograms, but that seems like way more than I'd ever want to put on there.
That's insane. That's like, oh my God. Yeah, that your whole front end is like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But it is like a cool bike, like the rack that it's silver. I mean, it looks like a giant Nitto rack.
Well, I mean, I remember getting like a prototype Black Snow rack from them. Unfortunately, has not seen the light of day, like one of one. But when was that? Like about a year and a half ago? And I was telling Jim, I said, this is as good as anything I've ever seen from like Nitto.
Hmm.
Like it's insane. Like the finishing on this, like the handiwork, the plating on it, everything is like so perfect. And our Rufuses are made by Black Snow for
Hmm.
us. And I was like, holy hell, like these welds are perfect. Like it's
Yeah, that's what
just
I thought too. I mean, that's the first thing I looked at was like the welds on the
yeah.
cargo bike, and um, it was like a nice like glossy orange fleck, so you can it's not matte, so like you can really like see like if there are any imperfection, and
Yeah.
the welds like look really really good.
Yeah, it was very clean, very consistent. I was like, oh man, like I'm really excited to work with them. Because that's when we first got the samples. It's like we need to figure out like are these people like they if I'm not yeah, actually they made the tradesman sample too. And so I remember looking at the wells, I'm like, damn, who did this?
Right.
And again, Jim was like, know a guy. I was like, okay, that's be mysterious. And I've since found out it's Black Snow. So they're really cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So we got a question here from Sean. Any chance of a rim brake compatible cantilever frame from SOMA again?
So I'm on a personal crusade because that's what I want. Like
Hmm.
I've talked to Stan about it, the frame designer, and it's a matter of is there a market for it? Like this is something I was of course arguing in the comments on some like online article about a month ago with like Fergus from Richie and a couple other people about there's a huge demand at least online for bigger frames for people like my size or like 6'3", 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
but there isn't a huge market. So we're very loud online about how we want frames our size and then we don't buy anything.
Right.
And so it's like if you want a 66 Wolverine from 2 years ago, it's been sitting in the warehouse, go buy it right now, like it's available. So it's like we'll have like 10 to like this is honest to God, we'll have like 10 or 12 made of a particular color, of a particular model in a larger size.
Hmm.
And we'll have to do like a sale on the last three or four a couple
Right.
years later. And
Yeah.
so that is the fear with bringing out a rim brake model. It's like they're really like Brother is doing a great job. Obviously Rivendell is, for
Hmm.
such a small company, they're a juggernaut when it comes to having rim brake models.
Right.
Um, And so it's like, Jim and I were talking about it, and he's like, there are companies that do it and they do that alone and they do it really, really well. And
Right.
his fear again is that as oh man, I'd be so excited.
Hmm.
That's just not in the cards right now.
Yeah.
But I am an only child, and I'm to try and wear him down over the next couple years, and maybe we'll get maybe we'll get to a point where he'll take a financial risk. But
There you
yeah,
go.
it's just really we'd love to. It's just a matter of is that where we should be going, or is there someone who's better suited? And right now, we've decided that the Rivendells of the world, or like that money bike. What was that one that had about 50 different
Oh, the
standards on it?
Hachita, the
Yeah,
Hachita.
right. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that crazy bike, like those are the people who should be doing it, or Crust. Crust does it so well with what they're making.
Yeah.
Um, and like they've established themselves as that. So yeah, that's long way of saying not right now. I'd love to. I'm still talking about it. It kind of depends.
Yeah. I'm hoping to. I've been really curious about the brother Mr. Wooden, which is that rando bike.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, and for the price, like here, I think it was like 700 pounds,
Mhm.
so it'd be like sub 1,000 for the frame set.
Oh, that's frame
Um,
and fork?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty compelling.
Oh,
Um,
no, I mean, like, if you buy, say, a Grand Rando, that's inclusive, it's like around 1150, I think. Like,
yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful frame. I keep seeing builds of that, and I'm like so jealous. Like, I'm like, I want a model that can be like
right.
that. Although, yeah, I keep wanting a like a monster cross bike that's like, canty posts, and then I'm like, well, Mike Farley over at Black Mountain makes that, and it's
Right.
really
Yeah.
good. And so like I'm just like, oh, go buy something from Mike because he's such a nice guy. So
Yeah. Um, let's see. All right, we've got 115 people in the chat. If you guys have questions for Luke, put them in the comments. Um, so Sean, who asked about the rim brake,
yeah,
also is putting in here. Honestly, I'd love something like the Groove that had both disc and rim brake compatibility. Crazy talk, I know.
no, I don't think that's crazy though. It's like I think we do offer sliding dropouts so people can single speed their bike, or they can run full cassette rear derailleur. And I think that it's more likely that people would switch between brake standards than they would with drivetrain standards. I know I build my bike up and like that's it. I'm not going to be changing much, but I think it'd be cool. Like I think
Yeah.
it'd be cool if you wanted to, switch it up. Like maybe the only thing for me is just be weird to have raw canty posts hanging out on a bike.
Well, don't they?
Uh
They make the ones that you could screw in and out, right? And you can
that
just put like plugs or something.
so you can do something like that, or
Yeah.
you can that like money bike that is so
Yeah.
wild. With like yeah.
Okay. So Dan Pon getting spicy in the comments here. Grease the spindle or don't grease the spindle.
For square taper,
Yeah.
dry.
Dry.
Dry, yeah. I keep dry. No, no, no grease. No, make sure those threads are greased up. Make sure the drain hole is open on the bottom of your frame. You don't even need to T9 your frame. It's gonna last longer than you're gonna own it. Don't worry about it. But yeah, don't grease. I wouldn't grease spindles.
Yeah. A niche product that I was thinking would be cool existed is some kind of T47 to BSA adapter in mass production. Just because there are some frames that are coming out that look intriguing, but they're T47, and some of the cranks I like just aren't or score taper or something weird. And I know that Phil Wood had like a T47 square taper thing, but it's very expensive and like non-production.
And they keep
So
everything on their website even after they stop making it for like 10 years. So you think that it's coming back and it never does.
yeah, so
Yeah.
when we were at the Bespoke show in Manchester, like the guys from Stair Bikes, he had a special like T47 to BSA adapter made so he could run his cranks on his personal bike, which I thought was kind of
That's
interesting.
So he had a machine there for him.
Yeah, he had one of the frame builders machine the the adapter cups.
Okay, okay. That's all right. All right. We get it. We get it. You love bikes. That's really cool. I was actually just thinking about T47 standards and like a couple of the different thread standards when those wolf tooth bottom brackets dropped this week. Those are really cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so T47 to BS so T47 BSA.
Yeah, because like if you
Yeah,
think of, do you know the brand Twin Six out of Minneapolis? They've got
I
like
do.
their Tyrando bike and their normal
Yeah.
the for
My
T47.
buddy has one of their Tyrando bikes that he was
Yeah,
doing trying to train for PvP on.
yeah. So those are like T47 only. Um, I think maybe some of the Fairlight frames might be, or are they? I don't know. Yeah, but there's a couple like brands that like I'm stoked about, but then I can't run the weird subcompact cranks I like because it's
You can't take the frame to the back of Cave of Bad
yeah.
Ideas and do something twisted with it. Yeah.
Right. Well, until
Yeah.
the alt crank set comes out with the 24 millimeter spindle.
All right,
uh,
I mean, let's see. I mean, Jim's probably gonna be like, that's a weird idea, and it's really niche, and there's not a lot of money in it. I'm interested.
don't do it if it's going to bankrupt the company. But
No, 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 no. No, he's he was telling me, he's like, hey, like, if you've got weird ideas, come to me. Like, I don't. No, I want the weird stuff. Like, I
yeah.
don't want like mainstream. Like, that's not what we're about. And I remember I watched that video you made with him a couple years back, and I've rewatched it a couple times, and yeah, I grew them down the line. So it's like, no, if it's niche and there's no money in it, like sign me up. Like that's the kind of thing that Jim wants to hear about.
Yeah. So here's a question from Frank Berkey Bile. What happened to the Saga? I always thought that was a cool frame. Soma Saga.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I think we have one like hanging out upstairs somewhere. Like we just like got a random. I like found a Wolverine color from like 2012 and like a Soma Saga, and we still have like some Saga adapter bits downstairs. We just felt like that geometry had kind of run its course. I personally really like the Soma Saga. I get emails from people like probably every like 3 to 4 months saying, "I love my Saga. Like, would you make another one?" Or my I screwed up my fork on my Saga. Do you have another one? Or like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it just ended up putting a cap on that, and no plans right now to bring it back. And what I mean
Yeah.
by when I say no plans right now, I mean it's not happening. And
Yeah.
I'd love to, but we just have moved in a different direction with frame geometry and like what it is that we're bringing out right now. I feel like our line's a little redundant in a few ways with like um more like all-road touring style,
Hmm.
like the Pescadero or like the New Albion Drake. I mean, you could do a little bit more heavy duty stuff with, yeah, but no Saga right now.
Yeah. Of the bikes within the Mary Sales family, what's your personal favorite?
Fog cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and it's a couple things. I like the Geo on it. I do have a buddy. I do have a buddy who uh he got one of those carbon single piece flat bars,
Mm.
and he flat barred it and made it a single speed and put like full carbon race wheels on it, and it looks
Wow.
so good. It is such a dumb bike.
Yeah.
And so like I love that. Like that, I mean, my dream build is his build because it's so
Yeah.
dumb. Um but I like the geo on it. I like how it fits. The color is spectacular, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Like, I think it is hands down the best color that we have in the catalog right now. As much as I like, when I pull out one of those teal New Albions to check it out and it hits like the warehouse light hits it just right. It can be really cool, but yeah, definitely fog cutter.
That's probably my second most ridden bike after the Black Snow.
Really? Yeah,
It's
that's cool. All right, yeah.
because it's like I put fenders on it, which is like
Yeah.
a weird thing to do. And like we moved to Spain because I was like, oh, it never rained, but it's rained like a crap ton. So I turned it into like
You've
a
had an unbelievably rainy season then.
yeah. Well, when
Yeah.
we moved, the reservoirs were like at 20%. Now they're at like 80%, just to give you a sense of
Okay.
how much rain. But yeah, I've got 35mm tires and fenders, and like every time it's too muddy to ride the gravel, I'm just like I'm on that, and it's a super fun bike.
Yeah, do you have it do like a bar bag or you keep it pretty light or
I've got one of the Fern Align diamond racks, like a
those are
Aero Rando style bag.
those are the ones that are kind of shaped like this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay, those are cool. Fern bikes are yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
That's why I was kind of really interested in reviewing the fog cutter, because it
Mhm.
has aspects, or not the double cross, because it has some aspects of the fog cutter I like. Kind of that shorter rear end but slacker front. Like it on when I look at the numbers, it looks like kind of like a dirty fog cutter. Like if you're like it make the fog cutter a little bit more give a little bit more tire clearance, but I like that short rear and slightly slack front vibe.
Yeah, like it's so that because what are you gonna do? You have the double cross setup, it's a drop bar and two by, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what do you think you're gonna get around to riding that one around?
uh it's on the stand, dialing in
It's
the
on the
fit.
stand. Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool.
um
Yeah, no, I was
yeah,
just saying earlier, if you have any feedback, I know the shop that built it, so I can go
yeah.
talk to them. Yeah.
But yeah, um, I'm stoked to test it out. But let's see. Someone else here, Fleur Deli Spends. I love my fog cutter. Use it for everything from commuting to club rides to time trialing. I'm constantly
Wow.
getting compliments on it. Yeah, it's a looker. That blue like really pops.
Yeah, it's got like a really special, like it really has like a sparkle to the paint, and again, like that's why it's my I like I'm so aesthetics driven, unfortunately. Like I love the lines of the frame and I think it's absolutely beautiful. Like bikes
Yeah.
for me are like, yeah, they're functional and they're cool. And like I'm in South San Francisco right now and I biked from San Francisco this morning and like it's cool my bike got here, but I was like, damn, this is a beautiful bike too. Like that's like I love biking because I think they're just so beautiful. And that's
Yeah.
why I like the fog cutter too.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when I think about it, since like All City is no longer, like Soma really fills in that brand of like nicer than the Surly, but not like full custom. So like that, middle upper tier. Um, I don't know. What do
Yeah,
you think? Is
it's
that
no, I agree with you absolutely because it's like I'm thinking like, all right, steel and like smaller batch, but not custom. You know, you have Wild, and he used to head up All
All
City
City?
when
Yeah.
he was working with QBP, um, and so you've Wild, you have Black Mountain Cycles, you have I'm thinking just like steel frame small batch. You have Rivendell, you have Crust, you have Surly, and I feel like like Black Mountain is smaller batch, but I feel like we're pretty much like have parity there. I think that Rivendell, because of like the rampant, egregious use of lugs and all the fillet brazing, you kind of have to just bump them up here.
Yeah.
And then I think that most of my friends start with buying Surleys.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because they have a huge team there, and so they can have all the pre-built bikes, and they're built,
Yeah.
I think they're put together pretty well, and all that. But yeah, I'd say that we're kind of like in that kind of mid range, which is what we've always wanted to be. We've always wanted to
Yeah.
be more affordable, and that's like we don't want to be like an unattainable bike. There are a lot of people whose dream bike is a Soma, and I think that's sick. Like I've
Hmm.
always loved Soma too, and like well before I worked here,
Yeah.
but I also want it to be a bike that like it doesn't break the bank and it's gonna last you for a long time. you know, like I've got a Wolverine that I've just beat to hell, and it's just so great. Like it's just anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, we got a question here from Jan Pravda. What about a Buena Vista with more tire clearance? I'd love to have a bike packing ATB or slash ATB mixed.
Yeah, no. I totally okay. So I like I've had a lot of respect for the folks over at Rivendell with like all the step through monster truck bikes that they've been making in recent years. That's like the best way I can put it. It's like mixedy
Yeah.
monster trucks. Like you know, like the Gus and the Susie, um even the like kind of weirdest Charlie Gallop, although that's like a smaller tire, the Clem. And I'd love to have a mixed T with bigger tires. I think
Mhm.
that it's just the way that we look at it, because it is a true mixed D with like the double tube, is like it's so like city towny
Right.
centric that it's about, you know, getting a big tire on there, like a 40 with fenders, more more than like having it fully rigged and
Right.
doing like the Atlas Mountain Race.
Yep.
But I like that idea a lot. I mean, that is a rim brake model too, because we have disc and we have rim.
Um,
And yeah, so it's like noted. That's the niche products with not, yeah, okay, bigger
I mean,
tires.
if you look at like the modern like hardtail, they're basically step through frames. You know,
I
if you
mean,
change,
really, honestly, yeah, it's like I
yeah.
swear the top tubes are getting closer to just connecting
I mean,
directly to the bottom bracket shell, like with every passing.
if you change the top tube of like a modern hardtail in with like a split tube, it's basically a mixie.
I, you heard it here first, folks. Mountain bikes are really just mixties. I mean,
Right.
I think like for me, like if I'm on a loaded tour with a heavy bike, why the heck would I want to have to get over a top tube and maybe like
Right, for
drop the
sure.
bike? Like honestly, you know, like I think that I don't think that's a bad idea. That's why, like, every time I see, you know, there's a lot of folks who like bemoan the loss of like the very aesthetically pleasing level top
Yeah.
tube, and I've been one of them. Like my version of the Atlantis, the top tube is like I don't know, like a couple
It's like a
degrees
degree.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like 2 degrees. I'm like, oh, the way it used to be, you know, whatever. But like, I'm such a jerk. I'm also in the comments complaining about so much shit online. Anyway, but yeah, no, like the more that this happens, I think the
Yeah.
better. Because standover height really isn't a good assessment of whether a bike fits anyway. So it's
Right.
like just like do this, make it easier to get on the bike. You have a greater range of heights that can get on the bike. It just makes
Yeah.
more sense for flexibility. Like no one can afford, not a lot of people can afford custom. I can't afford custom. I can
Hmm.
get a deal on a custom and it's still too expensive for me.
Right.
So it's like having flexible frames that can fit multiple people, or people of like varying heights. It's like so important.
Yeah.
All right, mix you with big tires. I'll see what Jim has to say.
Have you seen like the Stooge bikes? You're familiar with Stooge?
I have, yeah. So it's like I'm buddies with Adam over at Calling in Sick magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to give him as many prototype products as possible because he's got like 30 bikes and he's always like switching the whole drivetrain. But yeah, he had a Stooge Rambler and
Mm-hmm.
like with the double top tube, and um yeah, he loved it. He thought
Yeah.
it was just such a ripper, and he was going like, we have some very technical single track here in or up in San Francisco. All the stuff in Marin is like wider fire roads, but you can get some pretty chunky stuff. But yeah, the technical single track in the city, he was like, this is a monster. And he was like,
Yeah.
I mean, the double top tube is like, it's like just pretty, you know, like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, those are cool. Do you have one of those? I can't remember.
I had a Buena Vista. Yes.
Okay.
And that was yeah, that was super fun. I felt like it was really sporty. You know, it's basically like a, at least the way I reviewed it, I felt like it was almost like a road bike in sheep's clothing. It looks very like elegant and chill, but you can actually, when you put some heat to it, it moves.
Well, there's
Um,
a person I know who has actually a red painted platypus, which is
yeah.
like, you know, I think those can fit a max of like a 48. And she goes on she goes on road group rides, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cute. You're bringing your
Yeah.
step through on a road ride," and then she dusts all of them, and like just like eats it up. And then there's actually this woman in Japan who tours on a red Buena Vista, and like so she puts like loaded down, but she rips on that, and it's like
Nice.
sporty and quick, and like yeah, like you can't get, maybe like a plump 48 on there, but you can get around a 40, and like that's really, you can still get at speed and be comfortable.
Yeah. Let's see. Rick here asks, Luke, were you from Costa Mesa area? Saw the Pierce Street Annex shirt and lived around the block from the old location.
Yeah. It's a country club over there off of 17th. So my dad actually owned it back in the day. So I grew up in like I was off of like Back Bay in Newport Beach, and then I was in Costa Mesa for a while, and then I lived in Huntington Beach until I moved up here in 2008. So
Okay.
yeah, those are my old stomping grounds. I love it down there.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived in Long Beach until '09. So
Really?
would have
Yeah,
had,
whereabouts
yeah.
in Long Beach?
Belmont Shore.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful over there.
Yeah, when I moved there out of college, had an apartment studio like right by the water for like $400. It was amazing. not not $400 anymore, let me tell you.
No. And then what? Where'd you move from? Did you move up to Oregon from there?
Yeah, we were in Long Beach and then Portland, then Missoula, and then here.
And then
So
here, yeah, that's because you moved. Then you moved up to Portland, and that's when you did the Brompton tour out to the coast, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's still so sick.
um, Cool. All right. If you guys have any last minute questions for Luke about Soma, Mary Sales, so you said that you guys had like about 5,000 SKUs.
Yeah.
You're probably pretty familiar with them as a warehouse manager. What's the strangest thing that you're a big fan of in the deep catalog?
Strangest thing. I think like the most weird niche thing, there are like two things. There's just like Nitto bag guard that fits on the rear seat stays so that your
Hmm.
bag doesn't hit your canty cable. That I love because it's just like I look at, they're like these little like those like crystal plastic display boxes that like you get
Yeah.
doodads in. I always
All
just pick
right.
it up. I'm like, I don't really need this. Like I have a bag man coming from Paradise,
Yeah.
and like my bag is not low enough to need this, but I really
Yeah.
want this because it's just so pretty. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, I love everything that they make. Like
Yeah.
I receive a lot of the stuff from Japan, and their packaging is perfect. Like everything is so perfect, and like the taping is perfect, and it's all this
Yeah.
Japanese newsprint. Anyway, so I love those. I think those are really cute and absurd. And then kind of like right next to that, the thing I really like are those Cardiff brass wing nuts. I just
Hmm.
think they are ridiculous, and they're like, about this big, and they're not really for handling a load. Ask me how I know. I broke one off in the front brazon on my rack. It's super cool. I finally dug it out. But like, if you want to hold on like a dynamo light, or like you get one of those
Mm-hmm.
cute like blue lug light rechargeable lights, the coma lights on the back. It's just for like holding on small stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was actually out on a ride with a buddy in the headlands in Marin, and his fenders came loose, and you're just rattling around, and I'm like, oh, that's dangerous. And
Right.
I had an extra one, and he was able to like get his fender attached just for the ride back to the city, and then he promised to give it back but never did. So uh I love those two things. Those are like my two, like just kind of fun little
Yeah.
things.
Cool. All right. Last question. This is from Morgan Fox. Hey, Luke, any cool stationary items that you're really enjoying right now?
Yes, actually. So thank you for, that's another very expensive problematic habit. Um so I really like all of like the Hobonichi line of their like made for them Tomo River paper. I have a
Mm-hmm.
planner from Hobonichi, their Techo for the year. I've been using them since 2017, and probably always love that. Number one thing is a last year special made by Lamy. They're pink. I think it's Cliff Pink or Pink Cliff Blue Black ink. I love that. It is not going to stain the ink window on your piston filler. Sorry, I'm just going to talk in like fountain pen jargon. And then I, of course, use my trusty Mont Blanc 149 every single day. Yes, I take it on gravel rides with me. No, I don't
Nice.
care. Yes, it doesn't leak. So yeah,
I've
that's
got
that's
I've
uh
I've got a
Lammy.
couple
Yeah.
got a couple Twisbees.
Dude, Twisbies, that's what's up. I'm like a big Yosaka stationery fan, like in
Yeah,
Brooklyn. I watch all of their video updates. I don't want to buy, I don't need any of it. I watch every update on all their new journals.
nice.
Yeah, they're such sweethearts.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna take us home. Thanks, Luke, so much for nerding out and
Absolutely.
talking bikes. And if you guys want to pick up a catalog or any of the other cool doodads we were talking about, I'll put the links in the description below. Don't forget to like and share, like and subscribe both our channels. So you know, Luke's officially a YouTuber now, so go check out the SOMA Fab channel. And if you guys want to support this content, join us on Patreon. Go to the merch store. We still have a bunch of our party pace hats. These are kind of low profile, I wouldn't say distressed, but they've got a nice worn in feel, and they're not tall like those big truckers. Any last words, Luke, before I end the stream?
I promise I'm gonna work on audio on the YouTube videos, so you don't need to tell me anymore. I understand it's bad. And it's been really fun talking to you. I really I wish you were a bit closer so I could go on a fun ride with you or something, Russ.
Yeah, cool. Well, if you're ever on this side of the Atlantic, you know, hit us up.
That'd be rad.
So, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and keep the supple side down. And